I've successfully completed my 30-day video challenge, and the main benefits and lessons I got out of this are not what you think. So first of all, my 30-day video challenge was exactly what it sounds like. For 30 days in a row, I published a new video every single day, no matter what, and I kept it up even while I was on a trip to Rome, for example. And by conventional standards, by what most people would expect, you could say that this was not a success because my videos did not get a load of views, my content did not go viral, I didn't get loads of subscribers or anything like that. But if you watched my video announcing the challenge, I also explicitly stated that's not the point. And reflecting on this, it makes me realize that because of the nature of the internet, most of us miss out on some of the greatest benefits that can come from doing challenges. Let me tell you about the three main takeaways I have from this, the three main reasons why a challenge like this is absolutely worth doing, and why I recommend that you do something like this too. And I want to come at it from the perspective of what the internet makes us miss out on. Here's what I mean. Think about challenge content that you've seen before. And I bet you can immediately think of several examples that all fall into the category of radical transformation. It's something like, I did this crazy workout and diet routine for 30 days or 90 days, and look at the incredible transformation, right? You have the before picture, it's like looks sad and like a potato, and the after picture like ripped beyond belief. That is super appealing, right? We want to watch something like that. And in the same way, you can find content about how I grew my YouTube channel from 0 to 1 million subscribers in 30 days, or how I got rich in 30 days, or how I found the love of my life in 30 days, or whatever it is, right? We like the kind of challenge where it's one crazy sprint, maybe some really, really radical life changes, where part of what makes it entertaining is watching someone do something that we'd never, or we feel like I could never do that, that's way too extreme, but then also getting the extreme outcome. This is very appealing. Of course, it's spectacular, and also it really appeals to our wish for a shortcut. I mean, who wouldn't like to get rich and ripped and find their dream partner in 30 days? So let me be clear, this kind of thing is cool. It is definitely cool as a form of entertainment. It is sometimes, I think, not that useful as kind of an actual thing for someone to implement. Like, of course, you can do a super radical diet and exercise program and you look very different 30 days later. But most likely, another 30 days later, you'll more or less be back to where you started because you just can't sustain the crazy extreme thing, right? And I've also done things like that. I think a sprint can be a great way to get something rolling. Incidentally, I did something like that on a different channel, which has more subscribers than this one, where I made lots of content that was focused on growing my audience. But why didn't I do it here with this challenge? The main reason is that what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to not play the game. My priority is not to get better at playing the algorithm game. My priority is to get better at transmitting what I think are important and valuable ideas. My goal is to create stuff that changes people's lives. Although it can seem like, well, if you want to change people's lives, isn't it best to reach an audience of millions? The answer to that is, I think, no. Because the things I have to do to change my content, to change what I talk about and how I talk about it, in order to reach 1 million people, will distort the original message to the point where, well, I'm just not doing what I'm supposed to be doing anymore. There's a sense for me of, I have an authentic creative drive. There are things that want to be expressed through me. And if I play the algorithm game, I lose sight of that. I would rather focus on how can I transmit the stuff that I feel is important, and essentially not worry about how do I get it to more people. This is a separate problem that I might address at some other point, but right now it's more about getting better at that transmission. And that also means staying true to what feels right, even if that doesn't make for the most engaging, most clickbaity, most audience growing content. And the thing is, a challenge like this is well worth doing, even if you don't have a spectacular before and after to show for it. The first reason why is also my favorite thing about having done this challenge, which is that now on my YouTube channel, I have a body of work that represents me and where I am currently much better than what was here before. Someone who lands on my YouTube channel now might not be impressed by the view numbers, but they can get a sense of who I am and what I'm about. And when the goal is not to reach as many people as possible, but to reach the right people in the right way, that matters. Related to this, I'm going to link to an article by Kate Hall that I highly recommend reading. And one of the ideas she conveys there is that if she were to start over, one of the first things she'd do is start creating content. Now, in her case, she's talking about publishing posts on Substack rather than making videos, but the idea is the same, because she's not saying, I would publish articles on Substack with the goal of getting thousands of paid subscribers and making lots of money. She's saying, I would publish content on Substack so that there's a body of work that represents who I am, so that the right people can get a picture of what I'm about, and the opportunity that comes from one right person seeing your body of work and then reaching out for a collaboration or with a job offer or something like that far outweighs what you can get from thousands or hundreds of thousands or sometimes even millions of the wrong people seeing your stuff. This idea is really important to me. It's the body of work. It's a body of work that represents me. I know how valuable this is, not in abstract terms, because I have seen both. I have a TikTok account with hundreds of thousands of followers where many of my videos have millions of views. And the actual value I've gotten out of that is near zero. I am not joking. I ended up having a community with over 5,000 members on Discord that I literally shut down because there was just no way to get any value out of this. And there was also almost no way for me to give value to those members. And it's all because of the nature of creating this viral, attention-focused content, which, yes, brings in people, it gets people to click, it gets people to follow and comment and all this kind of stuff, but it basically attracted thousands of, and in some cases even millions of, the wrong people. Something I noticed as I was editing this that I want to clarify. When I say that I got near zero value out of this, I specifically mean the highly viral TikTok content and that TikTok account. Ultimately, making all that content was useful for me, but it was mainly useful on my YouTube channel, where it got people to watch my longer form content, and that like longer form engagement with content that was made in a more sincere way and not just as clickbait. That is what brought me all the actual like coaching clients and people who bought the course and so on, much more so than all the viral stuff on TikTok. In fact, I think some of the most viral content on TikTok that I made went viral because it made a lot of people angry and made a lot of people comment, but it really just led to zero sales. And on the other hand, both of the most valuable business partnerships of my whole life came through a free course I made ages ago that maybe in total a few hundred people saw. So I literally have a personal example of a thing that reached hundreds of people and made millions of dollars versus a thing that reached millions of people and made, I don't know, dozens of dollars maybe. So for this reason alone, a challenge of putting out lots of content is absolutely worth it. Create a body of work. There's two more reasons why a challenge like this, a creative output challenge, is highly worth doing. And then one bonus reason why, in general, challenges are worth doing. So let's go through these. The second point is about perfectionism and being stuck in the creative process. Now, perfectionism has been a friend/enemy of mine for a long time. I've always struggled with this, and the good side of it is that I have very high standards for certain things I create. And the bad side, of course, is that I can get stuck in overthinking spirals, and that's exactly where I found myself. I knew that I wanted to take my content and my business in a different direction, and I started developing all these ideas and making all these plans, and I constantly felt like, okay, this is not clear enough yet, this is not finished yet, this is not perfect enough yet. And I ended up with just piles and piles of notes and ideas and outlines and structures and all kinds of stuff, but nothing published. I also had a huge backlog of stuff where I thought I would like to make content about this. This is worth talking about, but I never got around to it because I always thought this needs to be a bigger, more polished production. The outline isn't good enough yet, the whatever. And so I was sitting on these ideas sometimes for months. And the challenge put me in a place where it's just like, well, look, you have to publish something every day. You might as well just do it. And it really got me unstuck with this. That feels really, really good. And look, there are definitely videos from this challenge that are, first of all, not my best work ever, and also videos on topics that I could easily argue deserve a better production, deserve some more work, some more polish, deserve to be put into a format that will appeal to more people. Yes, but it's out there. The idea is out there. I can still make the better version of that thing later on. And then reason number 3 why a creative output challenge is great to do is just skill building. People often ask me how come I'm so comfortable speaking, on stage or on a podcast. How come I'm so good at explaining things? How come I can sit down in front of a camera without a script and record a pretty decent video in a short amount of time? And the answer is This is like my, I don't know, 10,000th video or something. I've made so many damn videos. I started in 2007 or 2008. I've had half a dozen YouTube channels at least. I have made loads of content publicly, loads of content for online courses. I've done live webinars. I've done it all. I have been in this kind of situation where I'm talking to a camera so many times over so many years. I better be good at it at this point. And I really think there's no special talent here. Anyone who does something as often as I've done this is gonna get good at it. Now, because I've already done it so much and for so many years, doing a 30-day challenge of daily videos, how much does that bump up my skill? I don't know, probably not that much. But there's still an opportunity there, and you can see that as you go through my videos. I was trying different things. I was trying different formats. I was also recording some videos on my phone and some videos on my camera, so I was also experimenting with workflows that maybe don't translate into what the video ends up being like, but I'm getting the opportunity to practice stuff, to try things out at just a much faster rate than if I make a weekly video or publish at an even slower cadence. And here's the most important thing to mention about this. Like, if you are relatively early in the process, so if you're like, I want to make videos, but I'm scared or something, doing a challenge like this is probably the best thing you could do. It'll level you up so fast. And if you think about it, most people who start out, it will take them most of a year to make 30 videos. And you can literally leapfrog that progress in 1 month by doing this challenge. And yes, it'll be scary. And yes, you'll make videos that you look back on and they make you cringe and all that. But that's part of the process. This is how you get better. So highly, highly recommended to do this. Also because it gives you the reverse Parkinson's law thing, right? I think Parkinson's law is that any task will expand to fill the time allotted for it. So if you tell yourself, okay, I'm going to make a video this week, it's going to take you all week to make that video. And by having to make a video every day, you compress that down and you become so much more productive. You learn a lot of stuff that you'll never learn if you don't do a challenge like this. So highly recommended. And one more important thing I want to mention here. This is my bonus reason. So the previous 3 reasons were, here's why doing specifically a content output challenge, so a daily video, a daily blog post, a daily something, whatever your medium is, why that is worth doing for anyone who wants to do creative work. Absolutely worth doing. There's a bonus reason for why doing challenges that stretch you, that put you in kind of an uncomfortable month of having to do stuff you're not used to doing, are worth doing. That, again, the nature of internet challenges blinds us to this. If you only think of challenges as worth doing, if you achieve this crazy transformation by the end of it, you're missing out on so many of the benefits that come from doing challenges in general. And the most important of those benefits is that when you set out to do a challenge like this, you are setting yourself off on a journey that almost automatically becomes a growth journey. During 30 days of making videos every day, there were days where I really did not want to. There were days where I really didn't feel like it. There were periods where I felt in flow, where I felt like, yes, I have new ideas all the time. It feels great. And there were periods where I was like, oh my God, I can't believe I have to make another video today. And the thing is, both of those are important and valuable growth experiences. I had a very distinct experience here of going through a dip, of having a good time with making videos and then going through a dip where it was like lots of resistance, where I really wasn't feeling like it. And having to overcome that resistance and having to publish stuff that I'm really not that proud of, and having to work through that and staying with it got me out the other end where I was more in flow and had an even better time and felt better about it than before. And this will be true with any kind of challenge that is an actual challenge, whether that's like fitness or health related or for your relationship or for anything. If you actually do something that is uncomfortable in the way, it's like, oh wow, I'm going to be doing way more of this than maybe I even think I'm capable of, and you do it for long enough, such as for 30 days, you will have a bit of a roller coaster experience, and both the lows and the highs of that are going to be incredible in terms of the insights they give you, in terms of how they change, also just how they change your wiring, how they change your expectation. You know, you can go from someone who is convinced that this is impossible to do to someone who goes, oh, this is actually not only possible, it's actually kind of easy. And only a challenge that actually shoves you out of your comfort zone is going to do that for you, which is all a very wordy way of saying one simple thing. If you think a challenge is only worth doing for where it gets you by the end of it, you're missing out, because a real challenge is worth doing for the journey of it. All right, so those are the ideas I wanted to share. I hope this inspires you to start a challenge of your own. And by the way, for an example of this, I'm going to link to my 30-day Spartan mode challenge video. This is a completely different kind of challenge, and it's an example of how you can go through a growth journey, which also, I don't think there was any kind of spectacular before and after there either, but I also mapped out the journey that I experienced during the 30 days in different aspects of my life. So I think it makes for a good example of how the journey itself is so worth it. And if you're interested in seeing another kind of piece of challenge content in a way that is maybe different from what you typically see online, go check that out. I'll also leave the playlist with all of my daily challenge videos below, and I'll link to my 2 or 3 favorite ones so you can go check those out. That's all for now. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.